it's about learning to live gently with what once broke you.
Hello, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Conversations with Neuvias. My name is Carol. Today, joining us is the lovely Marge
Hey.
and the lovely Lynn.
Hello.
Our conversation today, or our podcast, should I say, is going to be healing past trauma. This was a very good topic since it's been a lot of concerning situations, I guess, going around with people, and sometimes we just don't open ourselves up to trauma because a lot of times we don't want to deal with it. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about it and try to help give a little bit more meaning and understanding to it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the traumas that we have in our lives are actually growth points. Frequently, they become growth points in your awakening or just in your life in general.
Yes. No, I agree. What about you, Lynn? What do you feel?
Oh, you're muted, honey.
It, Hello. I'm
Hello.
sorry. So, yeah, I agree with Marge. It's like growth points for us, and I'm just excited about it. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you from experiences, I think of a majority, probably maybe 90% of us have gone through some type of form of trauma, emotional, mental, and just trying to grasp that. Sometimes it's hard to move forward when you're dealing with that. And sometimes people don't move forward because they don't know how to cope with that
Right.
type of
That's
trauma. So, yeah,
true.
I just,
I I'm sorry, Carol.
oh, no, no, go ahead.
It's just funny because if you think about it, everybody's got issues in their lives that they would consider traumas.
Mhm.
Whether everybody else considers them traumas or not is another story, right? Sometimes your fifth grader gerbil dies and it's traumatic, and for some reason it sticks with them. Trauma doesn't necessarily mean only negative things happening.
Mhm.
Trauma means how you process whatever happened.
Yes. How you cope with that situation in general. So,
Yeah, it's a label thing.
oh, yeah.
How do you identify
Yeah.
with it?
Labels. Don't get me started on labels.
I know.
Mm.
I did bring two decks today. So I do have my Archangel Raphael for healing because he's very good for healing. And then the also one, I just got this deck. I just started reading on it in my thing, but I really like this deck. It's called The Universe Has Your Back.
Oh, that's a
And
good
so
one.
this, yeah, by Gabriella Bernstein. So yeah, and of course Doreen Virtue. So I think what I'll do is do one from The Universe Has Your Back, since we were talking about trauma, and just see what it has to do to come up with, because
Yeah.
I just,
I like it when you pull these cards, Carol, because it kind of helps lead the conversation a little bit, and it's almost like there was a card game that there used to be a card game for like at parties where you'd pick a subject and it would kind of lead the conversation.
oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking
I
about.
can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, it's got a little funny. But yeah, I don't know what it's called. I know what you're talking about. All right, let's see what the universe has today. So it says, I'll show you the card here. And they're really pretty. They're just real simple cards. But this one says, when I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light.
Mm, that's good. That's true.
Yeah. So if you really think about that, when dealing with a trauma, like, even though you're having to deal with it and have that struggle with it, everything comes full circle. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what this card is saying, like, and sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to process it because of how the trauma was situated, and sometimes you can easily get over it and like let it be done. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, traumas are learning curves for all of us too, and it helps us grow stronger once we do acknowledge that specific trauma in our lives.
That's true. That's true. And sometimes there are situations that you just kind of block it out. And that becomes something that's kind of seated back in your mind. And you may not realize that you didn't really process it all the way. And it'll sneak out every once in a while throughout your life if you haven't really come to terms with whatever situation it was.
No, I agree. I think I know where I work at, a lot of the people that I work have gone through some type of trauma. It's I don't know if it's the younger generation that there's so much that, when we were growing up, March, which I'm sure we talk about this all the time, when we were growing up, we didn't have time to even think about this stuff. Like if we went through a trauma, I think we had to cope with it with the best that we knew how. We didn't have the therapy, and we didn't have all this other stuff that's now offered.
Yeah.
And so this generation now, in which I kind of balance the two, but this generation now is going through so much trauma and trials and tribulations and stuff. And so I know a lot of the people I work with, they have to go to therapy because that's how they cope with whatever it is that they're had to deal with in what their situation is. And of course,
Yeah.
everybody's different.
That's true. And, and it's funny because to me, when I processed traumas back when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
um, people leaving my life unexpectedly through death and stuff like that, it would take a while. But the more you have experience with processing, the the less traumatic things seem. And as you start recognizing, oh, well, that's okay because this and this and this happened because of that, or this is okay because it didn't hurt me. And, it didn't hurt my sense of myself. And when you're dealing with therapy and stuff, I think you relive it, maybe relive it and relive it. And it's almost re-traumatizing in some ways, especially if we get into a conversation where trigger something from your past
Oh
and then
yeah.
you start reliving it. I do that with my daughter once in a while with stuff from her past, and it's like, wait a minute, no, now we can laugh at those things instead of being re-traumatized by them.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about it does help.
Yes. But I think also, but talking about it, like you said, continuously is not very good for your health. I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah, especially if your body is reliving the situation.
yes, no, I completely agree. How about you, Lynn? How would you have to if, face trauma, or is there a certain way that y'all do it down there or in the
Um,
Philippines?
actually, I learned to like label that those experiences are my traumas because of the common topics about trauma right now. Like whenever I see or I attend seminars about mental health or about traumas, there uh, like I start to label all those are traumas because when I was young, um, I didn't consider them as traumas. Like I just consider them as part of life, and then I move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I learned to label them now.
Right.
Yeah. So whenever I think about those experiences, you know, I there are times that I feel sad, but it's not that heavy.
Right.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's such an emotional process for people. I can tell you that sometimes when I see some of the people I work with and they've come back from therapy, sometimes they're in the best mood ever and like, I got it off my chest that day
Right.
for that day. And then there's some people that will come back and just like are completely shut down and
Yeah.
you want to ask, like I'm considered a big mom there, and so they talk to me about situations to get it off their chest. And so
Yeah.
it's very important that for anybody going through anything, that you at least lend an ear if that's all you can do in that
Mm.
moment, because
True.
sometimes yes, therapy is good, but sometimes it's not enough.
Right.
So
It's funny. Oh, you were saying that, and I was thinking about, um, I don't know if you ever listened to any of the recordings from Sonia Choquette. I think that's how you say her name. Anyway,
yeah.
she um she had, in one of her books, she was talking about trying to get something negative off your chest and just talking about it until you were so sick of talking about it that you're just done with it. I thought, oh, that's not a bad idea.
That's actually really good, but yeah, because you're like, "Ugh, I'm done with this conversation."
Yeah. I feel like a broken record. There've been times in my life where you've had a situation at work or something like that, that I'll talk to my good friend about it until I'm blue in the face for days and days and days, and finally I'm tired of hearing myself complain
Right.
or whinge about this.
Yeah. Another, Lynn, did you want to add something to that?
No, 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 no.
Okay. I was just gonna say another thing too is when you're going through a traumatic experience, there's people that I know that continuously play the victim. Well, I'm the victim here. I'm the victim.
Right.
And I truly get that. Like, I understand because it might have been a hard situation that they had to cope with and deal with, whether it's death or something else. But
Right.
I can strongly say, like, you can only play that card for so long because it does nothing for you,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so, if you were the victim in that situation, try not to linger there so much because you will not move forward in your life. You'll continue to have those problems and those issues. And so I think we've said this many times on some other podcasts, you have to forgive that situation for yourself. Like,
Yep.
we cannot stress that enough.
That's
Yes.
true.
Yes, because you won't be able to grow and evolve like you should.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's funny. Some people will talk to depending on your age and your mental state at the time of whatever's happening,
Mhm.
so many different things can be processed as a trauma that a lot of other people would say, what's traumatic about that? And you can't be judgmental of somebody else's emotional state because it's their journey and their situation, and you can't know their heart.
Yeah, that's true. Until you walk in their shoes, you cannot be
Yep.
very judgmental. You shouldn't be judgmental at all, anyways, but
Right.
you just don't know the whole story.
Yep. And you don't know what their past is. Maybe this is a recurring theme in their life and it just triggers, oh, it's not that event, it's all of the other events leading up to it. I'm thinking specifically about when I was in high school. My best friend's parents were having an anniversary party in their yard. My mother was very often feeling left out, my mother, and they invited her to the party, but they're a different mindset. They were a different type of people, so
Mhm.
they're all in the backyard drinking beer, and my mom's ringing the doorbell. And so I finally went over and said, Mom, where are you? She's crying at
Oh,
home. She goes, they didn't want me there. They didn't answer the door. I'm like, Mom, we were in the backyard. But she was just devastated because she felt
oh,
rejected by that.
yeah.
But it
That's,
wasn't that incident. It was that incident compared to all the other things that were, back from her past. At that time as a teenager, I'm like rolling my eyes at her. Come on, get over it.
oh, yeah.
But, you know, I didn't realize that this has been a pattern for her and how
Mhm.
she how she took certain things in her life moving up to that point.
Dang. That's kind of like with dogs. Like, I don't understand how people hate dogs sometimes, but who knows, in a past trauma, maybe, or when they were a child, a dog might have growled at them, and they're young and they don't understand any better. They're so loving and caring, and then you want to go pet a dog, and the dog just starts growling or even might nick you.
Yeah.
And so, that could cause a trauma to, as you got older, you don't know how to cope with that. Like, no,
Yeah.
get that dog away from me or something. And
Right. It's about replay. And when you're in a situation like that, I have a scar from a dog bit me in the face when I was like 5. And you can probably see it there.
oh yeah.
Still there after 50 years. Anyway, the I was the years before I would go buy a big dog again.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get more exposed and more exposed and replace that traumatic memory with a more positive experience of the situation, the more the trauma gets processed. And
Yeah.
I would imagine that holds true for any kind of trauma or most kinds of trauma.
Yeah. And it's just simple things like that. Like, that we think like, really, like you said, get over it. It's nothing major, but then you don't know what they've gone through
Yeah.
lead up to that.
Yeah.
Like,
Compassion. Got to
yeah.
have compassion and realize you don't know their heart.
Yeah.
Heck, that was my mother, and I didn't know that she'd gone through all that because people don't necessarily talk about that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
especially with their kids.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. How about you, Lynn? Can you think of any situation like that you've had to deal with?
Mm, it's really hard to, like name one because I just found out that, those are traumas in my life. Um, there are right now there are things that um I feel like um there are some traumas that may seem like small to others. I can't name it specifically, but they left, a deep mark on me, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Healing isn't about comparing wounds. It's about honoring your own experience,
Hmm.
naming it. It really um works. And what hurt you matters, even if someone else wouldn't have brushed it off. Your journey is yours, and it's worth honoring with patience and love.
Yep.
Well said.
Absolutely. I'm remembering back to I think it was 2 podcasts ago, Lynn, where you were saying this is kind of like the shadow work conversation, where
Mm,
dealing with trauma is like integrating it, just like the shadows integrating negativity and negative responses. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing you said. I thought that was wonderful. But this is
thank
kind of
you.
the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You recognize this is part of you and it's okay.
Yes.
Well said. I was going to say, since you did mention that, I will definitely pull out a card from the Archangel Raphael for healing, because I think it's a good time that we could see what Archangel Raphael has to say.
Yep.
I know my computer seems to be tweaking a little bit again. I better not take me off. Don't take me off.
I'm not seeing it this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's on my end. I'm just seeing it, but a little glitchy here and there. But come on, universe, just work me through this podcast. So this one says meditation, and it's so beautiful. Look how beautiful the angel is there.
That's
So
beautiful.
gorgeous. So it says, and it's a prayer that you can ask Archangel Raphael. So it says, "Dear Archangel Raphael, please meditate with me and guide my mind and body to focus upon peace, health, and wellness."
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect segue into talking about different ways to do to healing the traumas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just say you went to that therapy and you just didn't get enough of it. You just a simple prayer can help you alleviate some of that um, pain and suffering that you're kind of dealing with, or coping with in whatever manner.
Right.
Um, and it's also, like we were talking earlier, it's good for your health, it's good for your wellness of releasing the trauma. I know it's easier saying than doing because I say
Oh
that
yeah.
constantly. Like, I don't know anybody's situation. We don't know what that other person may had to endure. So just releasing those emotions help will help you move onward, which I can't stress enough. So
Yeah. Yeah. Some people, I mean, what other methods do either of you use for processing a trauma? I write a lot. I'll
yeah.
sit down with a notepad and I'll just start writing. When I had my first miscarriage, it was like I must have written 50 pages over the course of a few weeks while I was working through that. And it helped putting things in perspective a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for me, healing happens in safe spaces, in, conversations, in silence, in connection. Sometimes it takes, one kind word, one shared story, one moment of being truly seen.
Hmm.
We're not meant to carry it all by ourselves. It's okay to reach out.
That's true. Excellent point.
Yeah. Mine, I can tell you, I love being in nature. That's how I cope with anything that I've had to deal with that was traumatic for me. And I do self, like just being alone, I guess I could say, is
Hmm.
how I want to cope with things. Just doing it on my own, trying to progress, or not progress, but trying to um, just take it all in by myself so I can understand why this happened. I try to break it down, and this happened to me. There's got to be a reason that I had to go through this experience, and then try to take it apart to understand it more, if that makes any sense.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go out in nature, you're kind of processing it in your mind too at the same time, sort of like a walking meditation or just a being with it.
Yes. Yes. And just showing myself self-compassion for
Love.
maybe
Yeah.
like in dealing with situations. As I've gotten older, though, I can tell you, like if something traumatic happens, I totally cope with it differently now.
Yeah. It's a learning process, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, because what I used to think was so big and just overbearing me, and I couldn't deal with it. Now it's just the smallest, teeniest thing that I'm just like, okay, this happened. I'm gonna be okay. Let me just
Yeah.
process it a little bit and then let it go.
Yep. Yeah. If you think about what different kinds of trauma, some people will get trauma from a breakup with a boyfriend or girlfriend. And that doesn't necessarily when you've been through it a few times, it's a little easier. You've learned how to process it. And so the processing time is faster. I don't think it's in I don't think it goes away as like it's not traumatic, but if you're processing a situation in an hour or a day as opposed to weeks, it makes a big difference. And the traumas are different for everybody.
Mhm. Now, the relationship traumas are sometimes the worst for people. Like,
Yeah.
you've been with somebody so long, and then all of a sudden they're no longer in your life, and that's hits you because you have your routine in place and you're doing your things, and now that person's no longer there, whether relationship or if they've moved on or passed on. But
Right.
yeah, I agree with you, Marge. Relationships are the toughest. Some people can cope with it, like, well, I'm done with you, fine, I don't care, I'm just gonna go do my thing. And then there's some people who just like really have to sit back with it and be like, what did I do wrong? Why didn't they want to be with me? And it's not about what you did wrong. It's just, you know, there was a reason why it just did not work,
Yeah.
and don't put yourself down because it did not work.
Yeah. And I look at those things as that person was in your life for a season, not for a lifetime. And sometimes that's the way it is.
Yes. And I always tell my friends, like, you know, to me in life, I think everything's temporary. I shouldn't say that sometimes, but I just think, you know, like you said, people come and go in your life, and they're all learning curves. You know, I've learned from a lot of my relationship experiences over the years, you know, whether love, career, work, whatever. And so it's been all a learning journey for me when I've moved onward. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
how about
That's
you, Lynn? How about you dealing with just anything in specific?
f- for me, coping with trauma isn't about pretending it didn't happen. You need to embrace it, like embrace the pain. It's
mhm.
learning how to carry the memory without letting it control you. It's about building safety, little by little, and choosing peace.
Yes.
Yes, no, I agree. I totally agree. I will pull another card from the universe. How's our back? Because I just like
Good.
this card. Because I like this deck. But no, I agree. No, that was definitely well said, honey.
Definitely.
Yeah, because this is such a good experience. If anybody watching us right now gets any type of insight, you know, there's always help out there. Like, I cannot stress that enough. You know, there's
Yeah.
those 1-800 numbers you can call. Um, go to your best friend. You know, sometimes your best friend might not be good because they don't know necessarily what you're going through. Okay, a lot of decks or cards are falling out. Let me just pull one. But yeah,
Let's just
so,
say,
yeah. So there, I'm just saying. Okay, I pulled two. So I'm just gonna read them here. At least they both fell out. So when I learn toward love, I am led.
hmm
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah. So love is the biggest factor when it comes to dealing with trauma. You know, you got to find your self love for yourself, and self nurturing and stuff like that. I cannot stress self love people first.
That's it.
And this card said, "I witness the darkness and call on the light with my prayer. Thank you, universe, for guiding me to perceive this fear through the eyes of the teacher of love."
hmm
Wow.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
that is a very really beautiful card, especially with what we're talking about today. You know, teacher of love. If your therapy person isn't helping, or you know that you yourself can be your own teacher of love. You
True.
know, I cannot stress, you know, if you're forgiving things in your life, do it with love. If you're dealing with the trauma experience, try do not try, but do it with love.
Yeah.
So
I'll bet Lynn can right now relate to something that's going through my head as you were saying that, Carol. Because when you're going through a traumatic experience, having a loving relationship on top of that really helps you see that you're not a bad person. Your children or your animals or something that's got unconditional love for you makes a big difference in your day-to-day, moment-to-moment situation. Wouldn't you think? Don't you think so? They're good reminders,
Yeah.
especially when they do something you're proud of them for. It's like, I can't be that bad if I did this right. Yep.
yeah. I like the part of this card that says, "I witness the darkness and call on the light."
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you are going through that trauma, you are going through a dark period in your life. And
Yeah.
so you won't live there for long unless you choose to live there for long. So it's
It
you,
is a choice.
yeah, it's you who needs to get yourself out of that darkness and find the light again.
Yeah. A lot of prayer can help, meditation can help, exercise can help. Because remember, when you're having an emotional trauma, it can become a physical trauma because of the way the energy gets stuck in your body. You'll feel, if you think about when you're really upset, you'll kind of close up, you're protecting your heart. And that impacts the way your whole body works because the hormones and stuff get going, and processing the trauma so that you're not reliving that trauma over and over does wonders for your body too.
Yes. Because if you don't process it, your body will start shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole different segment in itself. Like, yeah, so I'm just like letting you know, like, um,
Yeah.
and then another thing too, the other card, when I lean toward love, I am led. You know, this is what I was kind of talking about and referring to. Like, no matter anything that you do, do it with love. But
Yeah.
in the end, when you're doing it with love, you're being led in the right direction. So
Yep.
yeah, so that's kind of what I say. Um, the main thing about trauma, though, is just first you have to acknowledge it. You know, some people don't like to acknowledge it. When we first
Hmm.
started this podcast, that's the first thing I said is you have to acknowledge it, because if you shut it down or let it go because you don't want to deal with it, eventually it might pop up again, and now you're having to deal with it.
Yep.
And that's just the universe's way of showing you, like, no, you're going to deal with this, and
Right.
learn from that experience, whether you want to or not.
That's true. And sometimes the things that you thought you processed completely, they'll pop up later and you're like, oh, maybe I need to do some more work on that.
Yes. I know. I even with Mercury retrograding right now, I know everybody, like I think we've talked about this last time, but everybody takes it differently. However, with Mercury retrograding, because they've talked to me about it, it's just a lot of things sometimes resurface when Mercury retrogrades, stuff that we didn't want to deal with, and so sometimes it'll pop up again, and you're like, why is this happening again? Like, oh my gosh, I thought I was done with this. And
Right.
so Mercury retrograde just kind of helps alleviate your past wounds, your past experience. Let it go. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but just to let it go so you can continue to grow and evolve. I can't, which I
Hmm.
can't stress enough.
That's true.
But how about you, Lynn? Is there anything that you can think of that in having this conversation with trauma or healing past trauma?
Um, I would say that I keep on coughing. Sorry. Um, I would say that healing from trauma is not about rushing. Not about not about rushing to be okay. It's about learning to live gently with what once broke you. It's about offering yourself love, gentle care where there used to be shame, and choosing peace one small moment at a time. You don't have to do it all day. You're already healing just by being here, by listening, by feeling. S- So be proud of how far you've gone.
That was so eloquent. I don't have those kinds of words. I love it, Lynn.
I know.
Beautiful.
Lynn has some beautiful words spoken.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And remember, your story isn't over. It's unfolding, and love gets to lead the way now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And being there too. You know, I cannot stress that enough. You've got to be there. If not, you've got to. But if you can be there for someone who needs you in that moment, just lending an ear, it helps tremendously with somebody who is not quite coping with it. So
Right.
yeah. Well, this concludes our podcast for today. Do you have any last words, Marge, before we head out?
I don't, other than if you have, maybe we could ask the audience question. How do you process trauma in your life? If you have any suggestions for people that would help, maybe this, I'm sure there are so many things that we did not touch on today. It would be great to get some other suggestions from people.
Yes, for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yes, that would be a good one. What about you, Lynn? I love that last closing or that last thing that you said, but you have any lovely closing words?
Um,
Oh,
Oh, she's like, nope, I said it already.
she said.
Okay, and that
I
just
think that
happened.
that closing that she had was
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I think the universe is like, no, she's got it. Thank
Yep.
you. Well, this I guess concludes our lovely podcast for the day or evening and wherever you're looking at us. But come and join us at www.neuvias.com. My name is Carol and or Marge's last words.
I wanted to make sure that everybody, if they would so feel inclined, to like and subscribe and come and visit us as Nuvius. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you. We'll see you next time. Love and light.
Love you.
Love
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.